on that, just for Mr. Leonard, who is the head of IoT for the state. And so Jennifer Ruth Green here at DHS.
Jackie Blake, VFI.
Steve Kane, Purdue, and Warren Cat.
Rachel Cosner, I remain point of contact.
Melissa Crowe, federal grants.
Andy Vaughn, statewide interoperability coordinator.
Ryan Bear, Johnson County.
Joshua Kalu, IDHS.
Christy Shute, IDHS, Deputy General Counsel. I'm Samantha Pig, I'm Christie's intern.
All right, Mr. Leonard.
Warren Leonard, State CIO and Agency Head for Information, Indiana Office of Technology. I'm sorry I can't be there in person today, but I have to take my wife and daughter to the airport at 11:30, so I thought this was the next best thing.
We appreciate it.
We're glad to see you. Mr. Geesey?
Good morning, Major Josh Geesey, IMPD Special Operations Bureau. Again, apologies for me not being there physically. I've got competing meetings and just couldn't make it down there fast enough.
Rumor has it you just wanted us to see your background. That's cool.
Yes, that's it.
I could have been there, but I wanted you to see this. All right, Ms. Crowe?
It's
That's
Melissa,
you.
she's
All right.
here. Everybody
Everybody
else
else
is
is
in. Anna is in
Anna?
the room.
And I'm sorry, where?
And Felicia. Those would be the two not here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Shai. I'm IDHS Communications.
Good morning. I'm Talisha Williams with the Federal Grants Team.
Excellent. Dr. Yeazel?
Good morning. I'm Eric Yazel, EMS Director. I assume we're doing introductions. I just jumped on.
Yes. Yes, we're good. All right. Well, thank you so much. Glad you're here today. We've got an agenda and it's all clear. So welcome questions at any time, but Rachel's put together a great product for us to be able to move forward in an efficient manner. So Rachel, would you do a roll call for attendance, please?
Absolutely. Jennifer Ruth Green,
Present.
Joshua Kalu,
Present.
Joel Thacker, Andrea Bond, Steve King,
Good.
Bernie Byer, Dr. Gazel,
Present.
Brian Baird,
Present.
Jack Seeks,
Here.
Joshua Geezy,
Present.
Warren Leonard,
Present.
and Kevin Hobson.
Excellent. Do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum, and I thank you all for being here, both online and in person. Super easy to have a quorum when you all show up. It's great.
All right. So the minutes from the October 7th meeting, were they sent out ahead of time? I saw them ahead of time. Okay, sent out ahead of time. Is there a motion on the floor to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor of approving the October 7th minutes as written?
We have to do a roll call. We have to do
After
it
or before?
individually, we can't do it as. a group.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. You did tell me that. Okay, so we'll do an individual roll call. Rachel, would you please?
Yep, here we go. We'll go in the same order every time. Before I do this, just Mr. Leonard and Kevin Hobson, who's not on. You guys can't vote just yet until we vote you on to the second. Okay, Jennifer Ruth Green.
Aye.
Joshua Kalu.
Aye.
Joel Thacker. Andrea Bond.
Aye.
Steve King.
Aye.
Bernie Byer. Eric Hazel.
Aye.
Brian Baird.
Aye.
Jack Seeks.
Aye.
And Joshua Beasy.
Is the motion carried?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Rachel, would you please present the designees for open positions?
No. 1 second to share the PowerPoint. Okay, so we have two designees to sorry. Okay, to fill in positions. We have Warren Leonard from IoT filling in the Chief Information Officer position, and Kevin Kevin Hobson from the Indiana State Police filling the law enforcement position. Both of these are due to administration changes. We've also had 2 retire from the SAC, Phil Johnson and John L. Seltzer. So those 2 positions are still available, but we're not filling them just yet. But these
So-
are the 2 that we are presenting.
Presenting. Would we like a motion and a second on both?
Yes.
And then a discussion, is that the introduction of themselves? Or would you like to do that ahead of
They
time?
can do that first.
Okay. Mr. Leonard, would you take a minute and tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure, Warren Leonard again, State CAO. I am just completing my 3rd month, so I'm going to stop talking about weeks being here. Heading up the Indiana Office of Technology, like I said. I have spent my entire career prior to this in the private sector. I've worked in various different vertical industries, retail, legal, wholesale, entertainment, and media, and most recently, I was the CAO at Byrider in Carmel, Indiana, which is in the used car, auto sales, and financing business to the subprime market.
Awesome. You have a lot of experience. Thank you.
And I'll add in that I'm also president of the Indianapolis chapter of the Society for Information Management, which is the largest senior IT leadership organization in the country.
Excellent.
And he's a Led Zeppelin fan.
Yes, I am.
Okay, do I have a motion on the floor to add Mr. Warren Leonard as the CIO role, with the CIO role?
Motion.
Thank you, Andy. Second. Joshua, thank you. Okay, roll call for votes, please.
All right, here we go. Jennifer Ridgway, Joshua Keelan, Joel Thacker, Andrea Vaughn, Steve King,
Aye.
Bernie Byer, Eric Gazel,
Approve.
Brian Baird,
Aye.
Jack Seats,
Aye.
and Joshua Geezy.
Aye.
And then Major Kevin Hobson, he had multiple meetings today also, and couldn't be here. He's filling it, he's replacing, Matt Wilkie in the same type of role. I don't know exactly what his role is over at ISP, but, he has been designated by ISP as their, liaison to this group.
Do you have a motion to accept Major Hobson to fill the law enforcement position?
Motion.
Second.
Yes, sir. Steve?
All right,
Roll call.
here we go. Jennifer Rigby.
Aye.
Joshua Kalu. Joel Becker. Andrea Vaughn. Steve King.
Aye.
Bernie Byer. Eric Gazel.
Aye.
Brian Baird.
Aye.
Jack Seats.
Aye.
And Joshua Geezy.
Aye.
And Warren Leonard.
Aye.
Excellent.
Both motions carry. Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item number 6, Rachel, if you would please.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about, what the SAC is, what this grant SHSP is. Just to give you guys, I know we've got a lot of people that are newer and to just dig into a little bit more than we have maybe for a while. So the Senior Advisory Committee, or the SAC, is an advisory committee for the administration of the State Homeland Security Program, which is SHSP. I will say SHSP a lot. I will also say SAC a lot, but that is the specific federal grant from FEMA that we are administering. The Senior Advisory Committee should support the whole community approach to emergency preparedness and management. Hence why we have so many different areas coming together, and ensures the funds address core capabilities and advising the direction for the distribution of funds. That is what the SAC is. And then we do have the attendance policy. So annual minimum physical participation is each member must physically attend at least one meeting in a calendar year. Generally, we have 3 meetings a year. So obviously, always come if you can. We always want you to come, but if you can be here in person at least once, the next meeting, we will have more notice. So hopefully that will make it easier. But I always try to push out the meetings as fast as I can, once I've got a date that we can use. Quorum means a majority of the members have to be present physically or virtually to conduct any business. For the SAC, there are 12 of us. 12 of you, so we need at least 6 to 7 here. In some way, correct?
Third is 4, right?
And then for the open door law, we need at least a third physically here, so that's 4 people. 4 members.
I'm tracking.
Yep. And I always have to double check these numbers with Chrissy every single time to make sure we know what numbers are before we get in the meeting. And then our cadence, generally we meet 3 times a year. Usually we meet close to when the notice of funding opportunity or the NOFO becomes available. This year, usually I wait till we have the NOFO. This year we are meeting just slightly before, hopefully slightly before. I'm very worried about it being a short deadline, so I wanted to make sure we had met and have answered any of your questions and gone over some of the process questions that we have for you all. We will meet again before the federal application is due. And then after IDHS receives our federal aid letter. As soon as the notice of funding opportunity comes out, I will set that second meeting. The last meeting, it just depends when we get our federal. And we'll usually give you a couple weeks if I can, if that one comes, give you notice. And I'll do what I did this time. I'll give you some options and then we'll go with whichever one the majority of people can attend. Each meeting will always includes approval of minutes, voting on any new members and any updates that I've got. First one here is any changes, anything about the charter, anything about the application process. The next one will be approving projects to be included in the our state federal application. And then 3 is any holds, and we'll discuss ideas for the next grant cycle. Any questions on any of that? Okay.
And a lot of work by you in between.
And my team. I mean, my team is amazing. So I apparently went slightly out of order on this. We'll get a little bit more into the history of the SHSP, but in a little bit. And what we know, and mostly what we don't know yet for 2025. But we'll discuss the expected changes to the charter. We won't be voting on the charter this round because the NOFO hasn't come out yet. But if there's anything else you all would like to amend, we can work on that. So all years, I did send out the charter, highlighted with most of where the changes will be. All the years will be amended to 2025. Any references to the federal NOFO or the preparedness manual, we'll just update to whatever the new wording is. And those are those 2 sections primarily. And then the addition of Secretary Green, Morton Leonard, and Kevin Hobson to the signature page. I will email it out before the next meeting, and then we'll vote on it at the next meeting. The plan for first of all, any other amendments you would like to discuss about this for the charter? Thing that's not working that we want to discuss changing? Okay, cool. I like it. Okay, so in the past, we've done this through DocuSign. Because we are approving it at the second meeting and because that meeting is usually very close to the application deadline, for everyone that is here on that day when we vote to approve it, I will have you physically sign the document. And then for anyone that is virtual that particular day, I will route it through DocuSign, but I will ask that it be signed very, very quickly. And so it goes on to the next person. Ideally, like I said, I want to promote coming to the next meeting. That's when we will discuss, it's the meatiest meeting, honestly, where we'll discuss all the projects, vote on the projects, and vote on the charter. Any questions on that process? And again, I'll have this whole process again in the next one. So that if you have any questions on it, you will have it. Questions on that?
I appreciate you emailing because my computer and Teams don't get along very well.
That's fine. I will also put this in Teams after I add the new members and remove those that have moved on. I just hadn't gotten to Teams yet to get that part updated. So all of this, all of the documents from today that were also on the calendar invite will be on Teams too, for those that do like Teams. I try to send it both ways so that everybody has access to everything, if at all possible. Okay, so SHSP information. Just as a reminder of what this program is. So this particular grant is all about terrorism. That is the main focus for this grant. Terrorism, preparedness, response, everything we can do about terrorism. So it's risk-driven and capability, high priority based, and government entities are eligible to apply. This is going to play into one of my questions about schools here in a little bit. But technically, all government entities are eligible to apply. As a reminder of the requirements, we are required to pass through at least 80%. The state can only keep up to 20%, including the 5% is M&A. The law enforcement terrorism prevention activities, or LETPA, last year was 35%. It is possible this will go up or down, but probably it'll go up. And then we have to have the funding available in 45 days and have a senior advisory committee. So any numbers that I present after this point are what happened last year, just to give kind of a picture, okay? The plan is when the NOFO comes out, I will send an email with updated slides with the real numbers. Again, we wanted to have this ACT meeting so that we could get everybody on board and everything as much as possible and talk through the application process, which we'll do in a few minutes. So that we can push this out as fast as humanly possible, or at least as fast as our IT people can get it up on the website. We're very, very worried about it being a very short application period. But we don't have any real information at this point either. So, like I said, that's where we're at. We'll go on from here. Any questions so far? Okay, if there are, please ask what I'm here for. And I will skim through the rest of this. I will send this PowerPoint out so you'll be able to read all of these things. And then I'll send another one when it's updated. And it will be very clearly labeled as such. So the last 5 years, we've had national funding priorities. And last year, the 6 priorities were cybersecurity, soft targets crowded places, information and intelligence sharing and cooperation, domestic violent extremism, enhancing community preparedness and resilience, and enhancing election security. Last year, we had to have 30% of our work across these, and 3% was required in election security. Again, we have no idea for sure. There's talk that they will be the same national priorities, but we don't know. But just in case they are the same, the following slides explain each one and what that entails. And then we also have examples. Are there any that you would specifically like to see? Otherwise, I will let you read these later at your own pace. Because I feel like I read them every time and don't want to. I don't have to. Any questions? No? Okay. Then I will skip through these real quick. The Fusion Center does generally fall under information and intelligence sharing and is a required point or part of this grant. The amount that we fund them is not determined by the federal NOFO, but that we fund them in some capacity is, to be clear. So here's where we get into how we've addressed this in the past. And if there's anything you guys want to change at any point, we can do that. So generally what we do is we send an information bulletin to locals to address the national priorities and local priorities. So this would be the national priorities and the enduring needs projects. The purpose is to get solicit local applications to figure out what that 80% will be and which ones are going to meet the national priority requirements. They're reviewed based on fit of terrorism nexus, national priority, Indiana core capability ranking, according to the scoring criteria document. And Joshua and I are going to talk about that in just a second. We did hear you on wanting to link it better to the THIRA. And we have a plan for that, and I'll get into that in just a minute. So projects will be capped at 150,000 unless you want to change that cap. That is one of my questions for you. Today?
50 is our.
It's your decision. Yep.
Sorry, we did that. I
Yep.
missed that.
Yep. And I'll explain why we've done it at 150 and when we get to that slide. But that is one of my questions for you. And then we have the last 2 or 3 years, we've had them, any organization can apply twice for 2 projects, a national priority and an enduring needs, but 2 total per organization. Again, just to try to spread the wealth a little bit. And then local applications will be due whenever we set that date. I don't know until we know when we have to have them done. This has worked pretty well, I think, the last several years. It's just a matter of if there's anything we need to change here. Okay, so the core capabilities are the same as last year. And our plan is to continue to use these. They, the counties are going through the, and Joshua, correct me when I say things wrong, okay? The THIRA process right now. So, and our plan is that next year in the scoring, we will have what's high priority for the state as 1 score. and what is high priority for that specific county that that organization falls into. As playing into their high, medium, or low score. Just to add that component to it. But because these current capabilities rankings are 3 years old on the county level, it makes more sense for us to do that on the next round. To add that component to it next round, once we have all their data.
And just to add on that, the reason why it's a 3-year cycle is because FEMA is in this cycle of 3-year assessment. So right now, this year is the beginning of a new 3-year cycle. So what we are looking at right now is the end of the last 3-year cycle of 22, 23, 24. So this year, beginning, well, the counties have already started assessing their THIRA 2025, which is the data we'll use next year. When we meet, we will be looking at the first year of the 3-year cycle. So that's how that cycle evolves.
And can you also explain for the new people what THIRA means?
So THIRA is the threat and hazard identification risk assessment that is done at a county level. So just to give you a quick short crash course, every 3 years, the counties do what's called a HIRA, which is Hazard Identification Risk Assessment. And they look at natural hazards, technological hazards, and human-caused hazards. And they go through all these risks and rank the probability of each item occurring in their county. So be it tornado, landslides, human-caused cybersecurity, or domestic violence, and they rank a number between 1 and 4. I get all this data, aggregate it, and then create a profile of that particular county's risk assessment. What's their highest threat? From that we take the highest threats from the 3 categories, and that's what feeds into the THIRA. And say, for example, I'll take tornado. They are assessed in the event of a tornado striking your county. What's your capability of addressing X number of people who were impacted? And then if they say we can address 50 people and the tornado strikes and impacts 100 people, then they have a gap of 50 people. So that's where we start looking at the SPR, which is Stakeholders Preparedness Report. How do they fix that gap? And in the THIRA, if they rate the tornado as their highest priority, so this is where this chart comes in. If they apply for a grant and they want to address or close that gap and they rate the tornado as the highest priority, then we look at which core capability that tornado falls under. And from that's where they'll apply a grant for a grant and look at which core capability from the 5 mission areas it falls in. And if they qualify, that's how everything now starts falling into place. Now, moving forward after meeting with Grant, what we want to do is I'm trying to create a process where I'm writing some formulas and calculations where we want to make sure that counties are applying for a grant that complements and addresses the gap they addressed or they are applying for, or they mentioned in the THIRA. We don't want for them to apply for cybersecurity, which is, for example, the highest threat in THIRA, but in the application, they're asking for something different. So moving forward, what I want to start doing very closely is looking at the data that they're submitting from the FIRA. What's their priority? We take their priority, look at it from a statewide priority and the nationwide priority, and then marry all this data together and make sure it makes sense. I know that's a lot of stuff I'm talking about, but I look at data very much and I can connect the dots. But yeah, so that's just me.
But that's our big plan, to bring the FIRA, county level FIRAs more into the grants as we, as came up multiple times last year. It just, we're putting it out just slightly because of the way this grant is coming out this year, or taking forever to come out this year, and the fact that it's beginning of the new cycle.
Yes, thanks.
We do have a. Cause we did, I listened to every single thing we said at that last meeting, so we discussed all different kinds of stuff. And things we wanted to do a little bit differently, and we tried to address as many as we could. Other ones I have left for you guys to decide. Okay, so this is last year's, this is just an example of how things, monetarily with our allocation, kind of what our requirements were. Again, this is one, once we have the new allocation, I will update it and send it out. We don't know of anything that's going to change drastically, but I also don't know anything on this part. But I wanted you to be able to see it. Okay, these are the big parts that I have some questions for you. So we did tweak the application. A little bit this year, not a lot. Basically, I moved things around. That's the biggest part. Obviously, if the national priorities change, we will update that to whatever the national priorities actually are. And we have asked if they've been awarded any grants in the last 3 years. Do all feel like 3 years is a decent amount of time, or do we want to increase that to, I don't know, 5 years? Or any changes to that particular question?
3 years is kind of aligns with the 3-year
Okay.
process, right?
And that's totally fine. I mean, I just wanted to make sure that we're asking what you guys want to know, and that will be helpful. Thank you, sir. Okay, then we have this normal terrorism protection. Starting. How it supports terrorism preparedness. How does it relate to the national priority if they've chosen that? How they determined it. What core capability and how it will address that core capability. We turned this into a drop down so that they can just pick one. It's an actual core capability. Because sometimes they put other things in here. Trying to make it as easy as possible. Long-term impacts, cost effectiveness. Then we come to Andy's favorite question on whether this includes emergency communications, and did they coordinate with Andy? And yeah, and as always, we will check with Andy to make sure everything's good. And then I will read the notes extra careful this year to make sure we don't have any caveats. Then we have where they can put all of the items.
And then again, we try to make these yes, no, as much as possible. We have asked for a second point of contact because we all know this grant takes a while for us to get our federal awards. And sometimes people have moved on. Full to have a couple people we can contact as things go through. Are there any questions or anything you guys feel is missing?
Is there a mechanism or check and balance system that's in place to see if a county applied for the same grant in the last grant cycle year or?
Usually we check after we've ranked them, reviewed and ranked them. We usually start checking to see, okay, wait, I feel like I've read this last year for this county. Let me see what they did get awarded for last year. So there is some of that, after we've reviewed it. We'd like to give everybody a shot before we add any other factors into it on just straight up how they score first. And occasionally they will tell us that this is a continuation of what they were awarded for previously. And if we recommend them for that, it's because they've made a really good justification of why they need more money. But yeah, we do try to take that into account down the line. All right, so that is the application. So if 3 years is still good with everyone, then we will leave that. Was one of my questions. Did you want to change the scoring amount for that? Right now, we just have them getting, I believe, 5 if they have not been awarded. It kind of evens things out a little bit, and nothing if they have been awarded in the last 3 years. Everybody's good with 5? Okay, cool. Leave that. Okay, and then should public schools be eligible? So federally, they are governmental entities, but we have discussed before that they do have access to the Secured School Safety Grant money. And we did award one last year, so this conversation came up again. If you do not want, we can restrict the eligibility within our application process. So if we would like to exclude or make schools ineligible for SHSP in Indiana, I need you all to make that decision so that we can be very clear in our messaging.
Have they not been excluded before? Or are they just now eligible?
I don't know that we understood it until last year, that it was all government entities were eligible. And so last year we did take them into account. Usually they don't hit the terrorism question very well. And the one we awarded did a really good job on that one. So usually they haven't made it to the final recommendations. But when we awarded them last year, that was a question that came up.
I think the main consideration is to be fair to the person applying, that they're not applying for something they're not going to get anyway.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think it's a yes or no. Either way is a win-win. But don't waste people's time.
Right. That's why we would like to be more clear from the beginning. Also, are a lot of public schools here in Indiana, so. And that can take a big chunk if we let it. And whether that's, since they have access to the other bucket of money, whether that's something we want to allow to happen or not.
I would not be for allowing them to do it personally. I just think there's a lot of money spent there in a lot of ways that could be spent elsewhere.
I think this is one we probably need to vote on.
I agree. So I would. In place of the executive director and secretary, we will need a motion and a second and then a roll call vote.
Vote second.
Are we voting to make them eligible or to make them ineligible?
The motion.
I just wanna make sure.
Eligible. That's what I was talking about, if that's.
Yeah.
Sorry. We have a motion and a second to make schools ineligible for SHSP for this year. Roll call vote.
All right. Jennifer Ruth Green. Joshua Keeley.
Aye.
Joel Thacker. Andrea Bond.
Aye.
Steve King.
Aye.
Dr. Yezel.
Aye.
Brian Bear.
Aye.
Jack Seats.
Aye.
Joshua Cusie.
Aye.
Warren Leonard. He's not on, but, and Kevin Hobson. Excellent. Thank you very much for answering that question, and we will make it very clear that, public schools are ineligible this year. And then the other question I have for you is, should the cap still be 150,000? Now, the last time we adjusted the cap, it was to make it just above the required amount to hit the minimum for a national priority. Meaning one project would then cover the entire amount we needed to, possibly, for the national priority. Would you all like to keep it 150,000 per application or change that? I know we don't have an actual number of our minimums. But I wanted to pose the question. If we're lower, it allows more people to apply, spreads money around a little less or more, but this is the one grant they use for big stuff too.
And just to be clear, that number is determined and it goes across all of them. There isn't, let me just say what I'm thinking. Someone comes in with an awesome $250,000 application. We couldn't vote one time to allow that, or
Generally, no. We would just count them, all of them, with the exception of the Fusion Center, at the 150,000
and as long
or
as,
less. They could always count less.
yeah, clearly communicated, then shouldn't be a problem. I'm, okay, the second part though, I'm having trouble understanding just above the minimum required amount of the national priority.
I can explain this part. So, like last year, we had a minimum requirement of 3%, which was, I want to say it was around 140,000. That had to be in election security projects, had to go into that bucket. So if we had one project that was 150,000, then that took care of that whole bucket, and we didn't have to find another election security project to meet our minimum. But that is what we have based that on the last time we changed it, and that's been multiple years. I don't actually remember when we changed it. Might have been 2020 when the national priorities came out. But it's up for discussion.
I kind of agree. If you've got someone that stands out, it's hard to say that you gotta turn it down because it doesn't meet the cap. It is, I don't know, is there any way to maybe put under, circumstances where a vote is taken to accept it? We do something like that?
We can, but it makes it a little harder for us to score them.
and to make recommendations based on what the money comes down to. Because, you know, I take it all the way to the cents. So,
I know we have-
also, if we have a cap, it makes it clear to everyone, like, you can ask for up to this much. We have had some projects that were 300,000,
That's right.
but they had other funding lined up to cover the other half, knowing when they went in that this grant's only gonna cover this. And we're gonna have to come up with the rest and having a plan in place to make sure it's doable.
I know under the scheme of things and all these things that this is being used for, 150,000 is kind of low. I feel, in my opinion, but
But it also goes really fast. If we raise it, it's one of those, that's why
you can
I
spread it around.
raised the question.
Maybe there's a happy medium there somewhere.
Everything that's been said, I'm leaning toward just leave it.
Do we need to vote on that too, probably?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So we need a motion and a second. And then roll call vote, please.
I move.
Did you move? I'll second.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to leave the cap the same for this year. We can always readdress this when it comes around next time. And I will do a vote. So Jennifer Ruth Green. Joshua Kilo. Joel Decker. Andrew Vaughn. Steve King.
Aye.
Bernie Fire. Dr. Yezel.
Aye.
Brian Bear.
Aye.
Jack Seeks.
Aye.
Joshua Gizzi.
Aye.
Warren Leonard. And Kevin Hobson. Okay. That was it. All right, what else do we have? Then we have the scoring rubric. We have not changed anything. And we already talked about whether we wanted to increase the score for, having been awarded before. So we'll just keep that all the same unless anyone like to change anything. Hearing no discussion, I'm gonna continue on. So then we have the feedback form. Again, we have not changed anything on this. We do have some time if we would like to change anything on this one, because these don't go out until after awards have been made. So this one, if you guys want to review, if you have any comments, things you would like to add to the discussion for the next meeting, please just let me know. And any questions whatsoever?
Did they change the number 4, the domestic violence? Yeah. Is that? I swear, the first time I saw it, I thought it dealt with domestic violence in the home.
Yeah, I've,
Did not understand that for several months.
yeah, no, I try to make it very, very clear that that is not what that is. That one came out 2 or 3 years ago. I'm looking at Christie, but I really put it in my head. That one was a new one a couple of years ago. And it's tricky,
That was 3 or 4
which
years
is
ago.
why we make sure we gave examples. The other thing we plan to do with this particular NOFA when it comes out is that we do have an SHSP application webinar. So we can walk everyone through who wants to join it. It'll be a Teams meeting, kind of like these. Walk them through each question of the application and what we're looking for. So that we have done everything in our power to help anybody, without giving away everything. That is on the plan. We did not do that last year. We're gonna make it happen one way or another. We've got the PowerPoint already written. We just have to fill in with whatever the specifics of this particular NOFA are. And then, like I said, as soon as the NOFO drops, we'll all be sending out an email to check. A couple emails. One will have updated slides. I will send all of this slide PowerPoint first, later today. And then I will send updated slides with our actual numbers and priority, anything that changes. And I will spell out what those are too on the email. And if you have any questions, once that notebook comes out, feel free to let me know. I'm always here. Except for last week when I was on vacation. And then I'll send out another email that has, date choices. And so we can try and get as many people as possible at once. Any questions? Anything I can do to help you guys?
You're doing it.
And I appreciate all of you guys being so flexible and willing to come. This is great. Now, we just need to adjourn the meeting.
Yes, and it's a weird result, but you still should do the motion in a second, roll call for.
So
We get a second? All right, roll call vote to adjourn. Jennifer Ruth Green. Josh Kelu. Bill Thacker. Andrea Vaughn.
Aye.
Steve Payne.
Aye.
Bernie Fire. Great. Eric Gazel, sorry.
Aye.
Brian Baird.
Aye.
Jack Seats.
Aye.
Joshua Geezy.
Hi.
Warren Leonard and Kevin Hobson. Thank you all so much. Be in touch as soon as we know anything. Hopefully soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say I missed having a meeting in April, because it fell at the same time FDIC was there, so I killed two birds with one stone.
I miss it being in April too, or February or March.
It is a little start.
That's interesting. Things.
Like, nothing, yeah.
I get it. I'm not. Here.
Y'all have a good rest of the day.
Thank you guys so much.